Good morning, family. Baby, your AirPods, for some reason, just not connected.
Sorry.
I want to say, let me fix this. Make sure that we're not. Well, good morning, everybody. How you doing? My name is Rafael Miguel Pizarro. I was born June 7th, 1977. My mother's name was Bertha Jameson, her maiden name, and my father's name was Miguel Pizarro. Somewhere along the line through life, they met each other in New York, came together, fell in love, and gave birth to me. It wasn't an easy road. It was one they were older when they had me, and so I came with a lot of medical issues. So much so that at one point, their doctors actually gave me 3 months to live. In that 3 months, as a young child, as a baby, you don't know what you're going through. You just know that something isn't right. And those that you rely on, you trust that they know what's going on with you. And the ones that was trusted with me in the human form told my mother and my father that I was going to die. You can imagine the pain, the anguish, the sheer terror that my mother felt. But I'm not talking about moms today. I'm actually going to do something that's a little different. Today, I'm going to allow fathers to come to the front stage. I'm going to allow them to step to the microphone without any trepidation, without any worry, stress, or wondering whether they don't look correct because they stand in what they've been called to do. But my friends, also today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the opportunity to be okay with the vulnerability of the suffering and the heaviness of what it means to be a father. I know I'm not the only one that has sat on the edge of a bed, hoping that everyone is asleep because we don't want them to hear us, and to have tears roll down our face and to look up to God and say, why me? Some of us have not followed through, and sometimes the heaviness of being a father, compounded with the heaviness of being a husband, has caused you to run. And to you, I say, go back home. For the ones that have been enduring in silence, and the ones that have continued to take the blows that go along with being a father, and to stand up and to say, you know what? I'm staying in this fight. This one's for you. So now back to my story. So here we are. You can imagine receiving this news. And of course, my mother going through the pain because she carried me, she birthed me, and that was not an easy birth. My mother actually had a C-section, and this was 1977, where C-sections were not so pretty. But here, standing with my father, who was from Puerto Rico in New York, older, had other children, and he's looking at his new baby and wondering, oh my goodness, what did I do? What was wrong with me? Why am I standing here seeing this baby that is innocent to the world go through this? Some of you watching this right now and you're like, why me? When it comes down to a child that is battling some issue, have made some decisions that for some reason have not translated to what we thought or we expected life would look like, and you're screaming, why? So that's what we're going to attack today. Can I have my documents, baby? Did my documents print? There's been this evolution of things within the last few years that are connected to mental health and certain trigger words as far as like safe space and all these other things. And for many of us, thank you, baby. For many of us that were born and raised, we have been basically trained to go through life and sometimes go through a wall, bust that wall open, and be like, you know what, I'll use some ibuprofen and I'll deal with it later. And so I'm going to use one of those words today. I'm going to say, my brothers that are watching this now on the replay, this one's going to be a safe place, brother. It's going to be a vulnerable place because I'm going to say some things today that are going to challenge you. I'm going to say some things today that's going to motivate you. I'm going to say some things that are going to put you right on the front. And hopefully in the midst of this, those that support you and those that are watching and those that are benefiting from you busting walls open are gonna get a bird's eye view of actually what you're dealing with things that you don't share. So going back to this dad who is wondering what in the world is going on with this child. He's like, wait a minute, I went to work, but he's sick. I loved his mother, but he's sick. I've patted him. I've helped feed him. I've gone to the store. I was sick when I went to work, but yet he's still sick. I've pictured my father eyes just like filled with tears. And I imagine him transitioning through a prayer of both English and Spanish, just trying to find whichever one is going to align with the ear of God that would say, please hear me. And then he gets this notion. And he's like, wait a minute. I did this. I've tried this. I did this. I tried this. I've done that. I did this. I did that. I did that. I did that. We're here. What have I not tried? And so my brothers that are going through this transition where you're looking at your life and your children and they're going through some struggle and you're like, I did this. 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 Why? Watch my dad's example. So he gets in his mind through like a face now just ashen with tears. And he's like, I know what I'll do. I'm going to pray. And I'm going to get people around me to pray with me. So as the story goes, they show up to my house and they all pray. And after that, very interesting. After that, my birthday was June 7th. I celebrated my 47th birthday. Not only did I celebrate my 47th birthday, guys, but I ended up working at the hospital that they said I was going to die in. So my first place of motivation to my brothers that are watching this, and I challenge you, mothers and children, I'm going to give you a really cool homework assignment. This homework assignment is going to be written in a space where it has nothing to do with you right now. Where you don't try to run to the mic and say, yeah, but make it about me. No, we're not doing that today. What I want you to do is I want you to take 42 seconds to think in your mind all of the things that your father has done for you. Don't answer the thought of, yeah, he did this, but. Sit there for a moment and say, man, he really did do this. What happens, and it often gets lost in translation. And a lot of it has been by design of this testosterone-driven understanding of what we have as far as what men should do and how fathers should act. And we never want to get seen crying and all that stuff like that. That part, I say yes and no to, because we have to be tough because we're the ones that have to go into some very tough situations. It is what it is, very clear. But that does not negate the fact that those that are benefiting from the love of a father, that they don't allow themselves a moment to say, I'm not going to be selfish in this. I do know that my dad cries. And I do know that it takes a lot to bear on his shoulders, even when he steps up into a room and I know he's had a bad day and he asks me, hey, how can I help? So here's the homework assignment. After you sat there and you took yourself totally out of the equation, then I want you to pray for your father. I want you to pray for your father. If God has called him home, I want you to pray for the sons that are fathers. Pray for the brothers that are fathers. Now here's the one that's going to get you. Here's the one that's really going to get you. I'm not talking about the fathers that, not only the fathers that stayed. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about every man that has sired a child in this world right now. Because that's where a quick but came in. Because right there I heard it. A but came in. Yeah, but Raphael, you don't understand. My dad left when I was 2. Yeah, my dad left when I was 2 too. But imagine if, like my dad, in the midst of something that I tried, I got to figure it out. Imagine that the victory and the understanding and the delivery, and or even your understanding of why that person left is wrapped up in you not being in a place where you just say, you know what, rather than to complain, what if today I pray? And what if in the midst of that prayer that God hears it and it aligns things like you never thought can align before? Imagine that. We hear so many stories. I never forget. I'm gonna share this story. There was this one day that we were at this picnic. It was not a picnic, a barbecue, and I ended up getting in a full-on debate with this lady that said, "Mother's baby, father's maybe." So after I like recovered from the sheer shock of that and the sheer offense of that, I realized that there had to have been something that would cause someone to believe that. And if you believe that today, I'm going to tell you, stop that. Because one thing that we can see right now is the evidence of what's taking place in this ridiculous world outside of the space that we understand is it's a battle between good and evil, God and the devil. There's been some fathers that have gone. And we've asked our mothers to do some things that they have not been ordained to do. So I asked God, I said, Lord, would you do me a favor? Can you show me, just kind of break it down, 6th grade language? What are the roles of a father? And let's talk about this for a second. The first role that the Bible gives us in Timothy is that we should be providers. It says, but if any provide not for his own, especially for those of his own house, he has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Guys, this is one of the biggest areas. As fathers, yeah, I know, right? Somebody just put his coffee down, because that is one of the things that we live by. Listen, I got to provide for my family. I got to take care of my kids, baby. I got to take care of my family, baby. I got to do it. And this one alone, I don't have to give the rest. This one alone, because it's an innate DNA written thing into us as fathers, is that it's caused some people to end up in jail. So those that are watching that took this number one to extreme and have done some crazy things and found yourself with a story now, I challenge you to let you know that when you take care of your family, you do it the right way. So if taking care of your family is going to cause you to go back to school, go back to school. If taking care of your family is going to cause you to stop drinking and smoking weed and doing all this ridiculous stuff, stop doing it. If really taking care of your family is going to cause you to stop laying with people that you ain't supposed to be laying with and start treating people the way they should be treated and stop responding emotionally all the time and actually sitting down in a place of logic, understand that literally that very thing that you feel innately. I'm gonna tell you, you might be, but I don't believe in that Bible thing. I don't believe in that God thing. Guess what? Isn't it funny that this was given to us in the scripture and you might say that you don't believe in God, but you feel it innately? But I've got a question for you. How can we balance providing for our family with being present in their lives? I learned quickly through conversation, even with my own children, that sometimes providing and going out, they don't ascertain the difference between that and how you spend some time with me today. My oldest son told me, he said, Dad, there came a time when we were talking that I thought that every time you came to talk to me, it was always about business. And I just wanted to talk to you about what the color of the trees were that day or what have you. So a large part of this one, my friends, not only is it just providing, going out and paying the bills, but there's also a space there that a provision is when you would sit down with them, talk to them, Ask them questions, ponder with them, drive with them, cry with them. And guess what? How many commercials have you seen lately outside of tools have you seen for Father's Day? A lot of times we don't get the full celebration. Okay, so don't think that you should receive a trumpet sound because you went to work. Sometimes we're just doing what we're supposed to do. But hey, family, I'm going to call you back to the microphone for one moment. You make sure that every opportunity that you get, you trumpet the sound for that person that's doing what he's supposed to do. And here's a sneaky part. There is never anything wrong when you have a father that pushes you and challenges you and doesn't let you settle and challenge you to say that there is more in you because I see more in you. My father knew that at 3 months, Raphael would become 47 with 4 beautiful children, a wonderful, beautiful wife. And he's like, this can't be it. There's a little supernatural thing that God allows us as fathers to be able to see what our kids can become, the good and the bad. Which goes into number 2. The father is a leader. Coming from Ephesians 6:4, he said, and your fathers provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. As a leader, it is our responsibility to not only just bring them up with the right things. I'm watching some crazy videos, my friends, and you've seen them where dad is living a certain lifestyle and now the kids are doing the same thing. Or dad is listening to this abomination of music or something like that, and then their kids are voicing that. But then you wonder why kids are having issues with normal things like going to school and taking care of things with the teachers. So, Dad, I'm calling you out on this one. Because for you to be able to bring somebody up or to nurture somebody, and you have to kind of bring yourself up and nurture yourself in those areas too. And understand that the outcome of what you're showing them, if that presents death to them, and it puts them in a situation that they find themselves that they can lose their freedom or life, I don't blame that child. I blame you. And in the ending of the scripture, it starts in a space where it says, you know what? You bring them up, understanding that God is real. And not these forced weirdo gods that's going on that people are chasing down like you ain't got no sense. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about God that speaks that you would love others as you would love yourself. That you would not live a life of righteous indignation or thinking that you have this righteous purpose to hate. As a leader, we do the hard things. We go to hard places. We have the hard conversations. So here's a question for you, my friends. What does it mean to lead our children and nurture them in the admonition of the Lord? It means that you start first with you and the Lord. Number 3. This one we go overboard with sometimes. They say that one of the greatest characteristics of a father is that we're protectors. Proverbs 14:26, and the fear of the Lord is strong confidence, and his children shall have a place of refuge. Let me tell you about this one. Many times when you hear that a father should be a protector, you think about somebody showing up with some boxing gloves or a gun. We have this whole laughing thing like, oh yeah, when somebody coming to date my daughter, he gonna meet my shotgun first or something crazy like that. No. You want to know the greatest protector? The greatest protectors are the ones that give you advance notice to the things that you may experience when you walk out and I'm not there. That's the greatest protector that you will ever meet. I'm being very careful because a father and a husband, it's funny, they kind of run alongside each other. But today I'm dealing directly with the father part. So when I'm exposing my children to things like unadulterated. I'm talking about no fluff to what this world is going to try to do to them. It is not, Dad, hear this. Moms and brothers and sisters and daughters and sons, hear what I'm about to say. Hear this. If a father is bringing to you the exposure and the understanding that there truly are people in this world that do not love you, that will wear the coats of friends, wear the coats of mentors, wear the coats of therapists, wear the coats of doctors and lawyers and bosses, that at some place they can take a moment and they can find a way to manipulate you because they do not totally love you. They just see you as an opportunity. Do not give more faith to that than you give to the one that sits on the edge of the bed and cries for you at night. Because the one that sat on the bed and cried for you at night said to you that, yes, you can wake up and go to work. Yes, you can even go through a situation, still stand up and have another day, that every day you're given is a new beginning. A rollover protector says that even in the midst of the things that you see, there is other things that you don't see, and I'm going to try my best to prepare you for them, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable when I'm preparing you for it. Because what will happen if he was not protected? And oh, let me add this caveat. My fathers that are watching this, let me say this to you. There's going to be some times that your children are not going to like you very much. That still does not relieve you of the responsibility of what you've been called to do. And then after you've helped learn and train and bring up, and when they go through an experience and they run back and they say, oh my goodness, I didn't see this coming. Or they come back and they say, hey, I need some help in this. Both of them are connected to the fact that we have to be protectors of our children. That leads into the other side, because when you think of protector, you think of like a defender. And you think of our retired army, you think of somebody wrapped in a uniform with a weapon. But also in that same thing, you translate to the next one, which fathers, we are called to be teachers. Deuteronomy says 6:7, it says, and these words which I command thee this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall talk to them, and you shall sit with them in the house, and you shall walk with them, and you will lie and rise with them. Now, if I could tell you how that scripture hit me like a ton of bricks. Because our teachings, if we do them right, if we sit down and we lay this opportunity out and we say, listen, this is what it looks like. This is the reason why it looks like. And these are the areas that you don't see, but I've seen. Let's sit down. Let's take a look at it. And you do that enough, that the beauty of it is as your children walk, you'll still be walking with them. As they rise, as they sleep, as they go, as they work, as they get married, as they provide, you will be right alongside them because you took a moment to sit down and say, yes, I know it doesn't feel good right now. Yes, I know that it looks a little different. And yes, I know the world is saying this. And yes, I know that you've had this feeling in this. And yet, so how about let's sit down and let's talk and let's figure out ways that we can navigate through these things. And children and wives and friends, I'm going to tell y'all something so crazy. It's like, it's the craziest thing of Revelation. We don't know everything. And you don't know everything either. So there are some times that your dad's going to sit down and want to talk to you, and you got to shut up and listen. Even when you're emotionally driven and you're upset and you're hurting but I'm dealing with this now. Hush for a moment. Because if your father has sat with God and you take the time with the conversation of prayer and the ability that God has blessed them with to be able to see who you can become. And he has prayed and he has asked God to please work this out. As you sit with them, sometimes it's going to be challenging. It won't make no sense. It'll be annoying because you want what you want. There might be a time that when you're walking down the street and God has called your dad home, or you've moved away and you don't see your dad every day, that just as you're about to say something in the store, you'll hear your dad and you'll be like, dog it, even when I'm not with him, he with me. As I get ready to close, I'm going to give you the last, well, there's so many more points, but the last point I'm going to give, and I'm going to wrap it into the most amazing father ever. The last one we have is a role model. Proverbs 20:7 says, the just man walketh in his integrity, and his children are blessed after that. If you notice, it didn't say a blessed man walks in his pride. It didn't say a blessed man walks in his title. It didn't say a blessed man walks in his testosterone and what he feels. It didn't say a blessed man walks in his demanding. It didn't say a blessed man walks in, you deserve. God bless you, son. You're welcome. All it said was a blessed man walks in his integrity. So my brothers, our fathers, our friends, if you can't walk in integrity, the unfortunate thing that we don't realize, bless you again, son, is that as fathers, what makes the difference is, remember, we're the ones who provide the seed. And we give it to our women. They take the seed and then they nurture it, they gestate it, and then deliver the seed, which becomes now our future. So if we cannot be integrous, the reality is true. Your child will walk with that. We have a phenomenal father. About 5 more minutes. We have a phenomenal father who has outlined this to a T. God has continued to be our provider. He's continued to lead by example. He's continued to be our protector. He's continued to teach us and guide us and show us through. So my brothers, my fathers, look at the greatest example. Because at the end, I never want you to get to a point where you ask out loud, why me? Because the greatest role and the greatest answer to why you is because love is not a feeling. Love is an assignment. It is a calling. Sometimes it's a challenge. But in the midst of it, my dad, he went back to Puerto Rico when I was 2 years old. But I'm 47 now. I hope somebody caught that. At the end of this homework assignment, mothers, wives, children, remove pride right now. Do not put yourself in this. Let your mind visualize that father that's sitting on the edge of the bed in darkness with tears running down his face. Or even worse, no tears because he's become indifferent. He just gets up, he goes to work, he comes back home, he sits down, he drinks a beer, he smokes a weed, he goes to sleep. He gets up, he goes out, he plays a video game, he sits down, he goes. And he's got caught into this monotony because he's stuck at the first part of saying, well, at least I'm trying to provide. Only to hear you scream at him, get angry with him, cuss at him. So I challenge you for the next few seconds after I close this broadcast that you will pray for him. You will go find him. You will throw your hands around the neck if you can. You tell him that you love him and mean it. You will not go into explanation. You will let him have the moment of knowing that he is valued. And that we declare in the name of Jesus. I love you, my friends. Happy Father's Day, my brothers. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.